Boom, boom. Alright, so just us?
Yep, I think
Yep.
it's just us for now.
Alright. Cool. Close that. Oh, I see. They call it the
Okay.
chat room of the stream. That's a thing. Wait, what? Oh, is Nick getting in on this?
Nope, as
Oh,
planned.
why not?
What character should I
That's
be?
silly. That's silly. Oh, am I practicing top or what?
Don't even care what I am.
Let's do this.
Oompa oompa.
What is the Willisford gonna be?
Oh yeah, I can see what you guys are gonna be. That's right.
You can?
Yeah. Yeah, I can. Oh, you dick! Don't do it. Don't do it.
Jungle Teemo!
No. Oh.
Do it!
Okay.
Do it! It's gonna go so badly, it's gonna be great.
Wait, is there gonna be somebody against me, or am I gonna be just like doing shit on my own and just putting wards down?
Oh, you can do shit on your own. I'm
Oh, okay.
truly, pretty much all I'm gonna do is like talk through stuff,
Okay.
questions, and all that stuff about
All right.
where wards should be and why, and what different roles should be doing with wards, and all that jazz.
Let's see what I got. Oh, I have. This is very different. That has way more defense.
Go!
Oh, jeez. This is old or is this new? What is this? Armor, AD. Oh, man, this is very different than what I thought it was going to be. Huh.
And the game goes.
Here we go. Oh, yes, time to
style.
pee.
Explain how to LoL, please. Have you
be
played
back.
League of Legends before? Because then you're gonna be learning a lot of stuff. Like you can probably tell every time I look over to chat because I look over at the other monitor every time. Hmm. All right. I don't know why I'm buying things when I'm really not going to be moving. Alright, let me know when you're back then.
Oh, God, that was way faster than I thought it was going to be.
Alright, it was quick. Customs are
Alright, I'm in.
quick time.
Yeah. Anyway.
Alright, so... Right.
What?
Oh, you guys can farm in lane if you want. Whatever.
I don't really care, I guess. Oh, that's an interesting
Okay,
start.
so... The wards that are the most straightforward, of course, are... Well, I don't want to say straightforward, but the ones that most people know are support. Right? Where support will come down bottom lane. Right? And they're going to have... Typically, you want to have... Good starting setup is to have 2 normal wards and a vision ward. That way you can use those vision wards. You can use that vision ward if you see the support place a ward and you want to be able to open up a gank route. Put down the purple ward in order to do that.
That's if you're in bottom, right?
Yes, that's if you're support in bottom.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I'm
This is
not
specifically
supporting the bottom.
support in bottom.
Okay.
And how that goes. For you, what are you playing right now? I forget.
Jax.
Jax. So you'll want, if you can, you want to get 1 ward at start. There are times where you won't be able to do that. Like if you need to get a Doran shield or something.
Yeah.
It's, it's not always going to be possible. But if you have the money, starting with a ward is nice, especially if you think they're going to do an early gank.
Right.
if you think they're going to do an early gank, there's a couple places you can ward. Top lane. One of them, of course, if you think they're going to go through a route that's through your jungle. Mid lane or your support hasn't put a ward here.
By the way, with you pinging,
ward.
I don't see that unless I'm looking at your stream.
What? Oh yeah, because we're not on the same team. We should really change that, actually. We should just make a new one.
Screw you.
We're gonna make all of this really hard.
Yep.
Basically the game now. Okay, bye.
Yep.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot easier if you can see where I'm thinking. So.
So we'll put some bots up and we'll just do some silly lane stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's try that again. I'll be less dumb this time.
Will, you gonna get on Mumble? Gonna unmute yourself?
Well, he's in here. He's listening to us.
Okay,
well,
he's
I
just
don't know.
not speaking.
No, he's not listening to us. Never mind.
No, he is. He's watching the stream. Assuming he's
True.
Still so he's listening to us very delayed. Just how that works.
Come on over to the other side, Mr. Will.
Oh, whoops,
Channel,
I haven't
Royalist. It was actually synced up with
It was
Mumble.
synced up with Mumble?
Channel,
Dude.
Royalist.
That's
It
weird.
My
was
internet
crazy.
must be cray-cray. Okay.
That's really weird.
Alright, here we go. Okay.
I wonder why. I don't know. Alright.
Okay.
Whatever.
Beat up again. Why not?
Synced up with Mumble? No. So it's synced to itself. So it's synced to the game. So you're hearing us like
Right.
5-10 seconds
Yes.
later. So it's
You're
synced to
getting
the
delayed
stream that you're
conversation.
watching.
Royalist. I didn't even notice till I deafened Mumble and still
Yeah.
heard you guys.
So you're getting it's synced
Oh,
up for
okay.
you because
So, well, okay. So the thing was it synced up to the pings that you were doing in League? That would have been. Oh, I need to do this.
Let's do this.
I need to pick a champion. Whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the chat is delayed. I mean, part of it is I'm not great at looking over and checking it regularly.
Royalist.
Yeah, the chat
They
does
certainly
seem quite a
were
bit
not
of
10
delay
seconds
today.
off.
Interesting. Yeah. So from what I hear, like the chat is extremely delayed. From the guys that I was talking to earlier, they were saying like 30 seconds for the chat,
Oh yeah,
Um,
sometimes.
which is
No, it
just
can be really bad.
crazy.
It's weird. I've had some days where it's 4 or 5 seconds. I've had other days where it's like 30. Like,
Right.
It's crazy.
Oh crap. Well, okay. So I have
I
different.
know why I
masters
wasn't
than this
hearing
guy.
it before.
What's that?
You were deafened.
Yeah, you were.
No, why I thought it was synced up. Mumble attenuates everything to like 100% off
Oh.
Wait.
Oh.
whenever you're talking, so I just wouldn't hear it.
So it attenuates right now. I think it's at 50%. So it does tend to make everything really quiet whenever I talk.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. This is a very
Now I'm
difficult
hearing
job
it double
I know.
I've been doing.
It takes a long time. I try and be on top of it, but it just takes a while.
Yeah. Huh. So I'm looking at this build now that is very different than what I was doing before. Like the build I have is very aggressive, I guess, in masteries, whereas theirs is very defensive. Or this one is very defensive, which would probably
I
work
gotcha.
better for me. At least for starting out. Going 9-21 instead of 21-9. Alright.
We are in game.
Yep.
Okay. Let's buy some random things, even though I don't need to. Okay. So yeah. So you're playing top lane.
Yep. Oh, that's expensive.
All recorders stop working. I don't care. Okay. So, if you're playing top lane, so you were on purple side last time. On the
Yeah.
purple side, it's good to have one ward at the start, especially if you're worried about an early gank.
Okay.
You do. Second.
I might as well start it, since we're practicing that, you know.
Yeah, no, go ahead and grab one ward.
So the normal place I
Yeah,
put
that's
it
a
is
decent
about
start.
there.
Yep, that's solid.
Yep.
A good place if you're worried about being ganked. Only have one ward and you don't know whether they're going to be going through your jungle or if they're going to be going through river or through here,
Uh-huh.
right? It's a decent spot to put it. Right around, yeah, right around there
Yep.
is a not bad place for it.
Maybe up a bit so you get the
Usually
bushes
the
and
thing
whatnot.
to do though is to pick out what you think is going to be, the route that will take or the route that you're most worried about. For example, early in the game, chances are they are not going to dive you through
Right.
jungle into your turret, right?
Right.
They can, certain circumstances, if they're very good,
Right.
especially at our level of play, it's unusual.
Uh-huh.
So I
Makes
wouldn't
sense.
worry about checking river too much. Or checking, this entrance or this entrance for a gank when you're at top.
Right. Okay.
But if you're going to be ganked at top, chances are it will either be through tri-bush, through lane, through river.
Right.
So if you think it's going to be if you don't think they're going to do it through lane, which they often don't at top just because the lane pressure isn't set up to do
Graves
it.
top.
The ward here is not, like you were saying, is not bad because you're able to see if they're chilling in tri-bush, right? But if they suddenly start walking out of tri-bush into river,
Yep.
you'll see it happening.
Right.
Now this ward is nice because it means when lane is even like this, it's going to be a pretty solid ward because you're going to get decent notice because you're either going to see, using your creeps, see them coming through lane, or you're going to see them coming through river, or you're going to see when they come out of tri-bush and you'll have enough time to get away, especially as Jax where you can use your jumps.
Yep.
That being said, if you're going to push up this lane at all, like if the creeps get up to here, for example, it's no longer safe because they can go through tri-bush through this passageway you're totally unawares.
Right. Oh shit. Graves is aggressive.
So if you're playing them,
man,
he is aggressive.
it's really annoying.
Oh, I see. I have to keep moving. Interesting. Okay. Well, I'm just going to be moving around the jungle then, so that
You have to keep
I'm
moving.
doing nothing. Apparently, I have to not be idle. For too
Oh
long.
really? Oh yeah. That's a thing.
Otherwise, it kicks you.
Oh god.
He's being
You
crazy
dick.
aggressive. He doesn't like you. Oh,
Oh.
look, he took a ton of turret damage now.
If I was level 3, I would have attacked him there.
Yeah.
It's on.
All of these notes. I know, right? If you play League, if you've never played League, this is going to be a lot of stuff to learn.
Oh,
if
yeah.
you have played League, if you've played a lot, this is actually going to be a lot of review, but
Or it should
if you
be.
haven't, this is a lot of good stuff. Okay, other things to know about top. If you're being really aggressive, right? If you're trying to take this tower, where you want your wards, right? You want typically one in tri-bush.
Yep.
It's pretty great. And you also want one in this bush, typically.
Okay, so you know when they take red.
Yep.
Something like
So
that.
you know if they take red, but also you'll usually be able to tell if they're taking this path,
Uh-huh.
right? Or if they're taking this path, see it.
Okay.
Which is really nice. If you really want to be aggressive, what you can do is put a ward in this bush,
Okay.
That way, the only way they can catch you unawares is by going through lane. Or going all the way through river. So, that's the main thing, is if you're going to try and get an aggressive play on that turret, you're worried that a gank could come at any time,
Uh-huh.
but you want to at least get a ward in tri-bush. Getting
Right.
some kind of ward in this area of jungle is a really good idea. This will be this area if he's been doing a lot of stuff like swinging from mid. So you have to play it by feel to some extent, but those are all really good ward places if you're pushing forward.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
God damn.
defensive, of course, if you're sitting under turret,
Yep.
right, and you're just trying to defend. Of course, this is always a good place to ward, because if they, they could easily go through this route and try to turret dive you.
Yep. Oh god, Graves.
somewhere
Jesus
like here-
Christ.
Or like here, right? Both of those will give you sufficient warning.
Mhm.
Typically, they're not going to path all the way through here
Yep.
if
You're
they're going to be
pinging a
trying
lot.
to dive you under turret. Yeah, I pinged a lot to try and show the path
Damn it.
because I don't know any other good way to
I have
do
to
it.
go back.
It's on.
Jesus.
Um,
Oh, I guess I'll stick around until after this.
yeah. So basically, the main thing, ward there is good.
Yep.
Another ward that's pretty solid if you're trying to defend is at blue,
Uh-huh.
because especially if invading is happening a lot, like if your jungler is having trouble keeping up with blue,
Sure.
or mid is sniping your blue often,
Yep.
that'll do two nice things. It'll mean you'll see somebody if they're trying to go through this path. Also, blue, and you will be in a position to respond if you see them going for blue. But yeah, if you're playing defensive, the biggest thing is getting
Oh,
those
he got
jungle
away.
openings.
Balls.
Ready for battle.
Yeah. And that's actually most of top right there. If you're playing somebody who's really mobile, like Nidalee or something,
Yeah.
you can do things like try to help mid by putting in wards here, for example, or here,
Okay.
just so that they have some warning if they're about to be ganked.
Right.
But that's really only if you have time.
Uh-huh.
Another good tip, especially if they return, push up this lane, right? Get it under turret.
Yep.
Hello, Mad Socks. I am teaching warding stuff. So I don't know if you're a League of Legends player, but if you are, this might be helpful. This might not, depending on how much you play. So yeah. So if you're being really aggressive up here, one thing you can do, especially if you think your jungler is not on top of their game, start roaming in here, get some wards down, and then return.
Right.
And that could be really good, especially if mid is struggling, or if you really want, if your jungler is doing well and you want them to be able to counter jungle.
Right.
It's a really good
Okay.
set of
Yeah,
wards
Cam
to
was
do.
mentioning that he usually places a ward here instead of out here just to see the jungler
Yes.
during the starting.
Basically, it's if you
Lane
can get a ward here safely,
Uh-huh.
it is the better ward, typically, because much better idea where the jungler is, you get a much better sense of getting some ganking path, right? Most of the paths that are going to go to top, and even some of the paths that go to mid, are going to go right through there. It gets you a good objective sense, it gets you good sense of where the jungler is, which helps the bottom quite a bit. You get, yeah, it just gives you all sorts of great information.
Right.
So Cam's right, if you can get there, which, especially at our level of play, you often can.
Right.
It's a great ward to have. Another thing for if you're playing bottom, and here's the support, if you can get ward by their blue, it's similarly advantageous because you'll
Okay.
see a lot of the ganking routes that happen go right through there.
Right.
You see the objective, you get a sense of where jungler is, you get all this great stuff.
Mhm.
I have to move so that I don't get kicked.
That is a thing. Yep.
Alright. So that's most of top warding right there. Again, split pushing is very similar to like if you're being aggressive towards this turret. You want to get things like wards in here and a ward here. Like basically if you get a ward here and here, or if you get a ward by red and a ward down at that lower ping,
Yep.
you'll be able to see most of the routes that they'll try to attack you from.
Right.
So you'll get if you're split pushing, you'll get a lot of good warning about people transitioning from mid or have you.
It's like that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. That and the wards you have set up there, great for taking that first tower.
At top.
Pretty
Yep.
solid for taking the second one. You have to be a little bit conservative because
Sure.
it's going to be reasonably. If you only have, say, these two wards, for example, you're going for that second turret, you might not get enough warning. You'll get enough warning to kind of juke them and mind tricks, but they'll probably catch up to you.
Yeah.
Oh, so a gank. A gank is when. So you see that Ben right here, right, is sitting in lane. This Graves. Well, Graves is not
I'm against
usually at top.
Graves. Yeah.
Typically, there's one player who's in the jungle. So, for example, I'm in the jungle right now. And you wouldn't be playing TF, attacking these little minion camps and getting gold, but not sitting in any of the three lanes. So what the jungler does, the jungler sort of moves around the map, farming up these minions in jungle until they're needed in a lane. So, for example, see that Ben's pretty low health right now.
Yep.
So I might decide I want to go up here and I want to help Ben out.
He's got no
Because-
wards. Let's
he
take him
needs
out.
some cover so that he can attack some of these minions. So I might come up here and be very aggressive towards Graves. Ben and I can get some damage on Graves back. Ben has the opportunity, is a little bit more an even setup. Oh, I killed myself. That was sad. Oh, look. Nasus is ganking too.
Thank you.
So that was what we would call a soft gank. A soft gank is when you're the jungler, or sometimes the person at mid push up the lane a whole bunch. Then, while the creeps are way up here, they'll transition to top and do a gank. But ganking is basically helping somebody out in lane by suddenly showing up and trying to attack the enemy player that's there. It's usually the jungler who does ganks, but like I said, mid can do a gank. And there are situations even where bottom will move to mid and do a gank. So yeah, those are all possible scenarios. A hard gank, you're going in and the goal is, it's like the jungler is just going super aggressive. Your goal is to kill the guy before he gets back at gank. A soft gank is when typically the jungler is coming in and you're just trying to give the person in lane a little bit of leeway, right? You're trying to get some damage on the enemy, give your player some space so that they can farm up minions and get some gold and experience. It's typically something you want to do if they're getting harassed a lot in the lane. So, for example, when Ben was really low on health and Graves had lots of health, the goal was to come in, damage, get Graves off of Ben, let Ben farm some, and get the health somewhat equitable. So that's what ganking is. Ganking is one of the sort of core tactics, especially early in the game, for getting kills and getting the game moving. Okay. Let's see, where was I? Right. To warding top, actually. We're pretty good there. One of the things about top, I mean, you probably know this, but don't expect support to give you any ward coverage, right? Or if you're lucky, the jungler will give you some ward coverage. That's a very possible thing. If you don't have the money, the jungler is doing pretty well, you can be like, give me some wards, and give me a ward,
Yep.
In river here, or if he's coming for a gank, put a ward in Tribush as he's going for the gank, stuff like that. So it's possible for the jungler to give you a little bit of ward coverage if you don't have the money.
Yep.
Yeah, Dota 2 has very similar tactics.
Yep.
The structure of jungle and such is a little different, and the objectives are a little different, but a lot of this overall strategy is the same. Though you can't do things like creep denying, right, which is the thing in Dota 2 and League of Legends.
How does that work in
So in some ways,
Dota 2?
so how that works is in Dota 2 you can attack your own creeps.
Oh, right. So you kill
So
them
what
before.
you can do is you can kill you can take the last hits on your own creeps so that the enemy take those last hits,
Yep.
and so they can't get gold from it.
Yep.
And it's a very critical tactic, and it makes zoning a huge deal in Dota 2. If you can zone them out so that you can farm up their creeps and prevent last hits on yours, you can totally shut them down. League, it's not as much of a thing. Zoning is still great in League, don't get me wrong, but it's not as devastating as it can be in Dota 2. Yeah. Okay. Let's see, where were we? Yes, that's most of top. Mid can do little things to help you, like mid might be able to put a ward here, but that's only going to help you a little bit. Jungler can get some wards, especially if the jungler is aggressive. They can get things like wards at red and such, which are fantastic for both you and the jungler. Yeah, but that's about it. For the most part, you're pretty much placing wards up there conservatively. Maybe one or two wards in your inventory at a given time. When you back, if you don't have any wards, you want to have at least one ward in your inventory as top. If you can afford two, awesome. Yeah, and the goal is just, wards up there to keep yourself defended. Try not to get ganked. Try and keep up farm.
Yep.
Chance, push up lane, do a gank for mid, or help counter jungle.
Sure.
That's a great thing about warding, right? Is if you get wards to push this turret at top, you're already putting in wards that are helpful for counter jungling, right? So it means you can push the lane up, If it looks like they're going to be able to clear it fast enough or you can't take it, you can just go into their jungle with a jungler, take that red, or totally screw with their jungler.
Mm-hmm.
So top is if top is doing well, they're in a great position to do that kind of counter jungling. Cool. Okay, let's do a different lane. Mid lane is pretty simple. So mid lane, typically, again, you're only gonna have 1 or 2 wards at a given time. Your primary goal is to 1, prevent ganks on yourself, and 2, give vision to the entrances to jungle. Those are going to be the main things. Or the entrances to their jungle. So, like this bush is good, wards of this entrance is good, wards where I'm standing are good, or even slightly closer to river if you're worried about a gank. Wards here are good. So, and each of these depends on what area of the map is having difficulty, right? Like if their jungler keeps invading your red, you of course want to try and get a ward here.
Mm-hmm.
If you're getting ganks where the guy comes from blue and then attacks you, you want to get a ward there. If the jungler's having trouble, right? If your top is having a lot of trouble, so they're stuck on this turret, for example, you want to try and get a ward here as mid in order to give them some prior notice if somebody's going to dive them. And if your top's being really aggressive, you want to try and get a ward here. So a lot of these ward placements are going to overlap to some extent in these adjacent lanes. Good to keep in mind that it's not just about preventing ganks for yourself, right? If you're playing well, you can prevent ganks for lanes that are really struggling. And you should be placing those wards accordingly.
Okay.
And the other thing about this is that when you're placing wards, it's not just about reacting, right? Like if you want to make a push happen at top, one of the best ways to do it is to get those wards down first, either having the jungler do it or having top do it.
Okay.
Then start the push, because now you have cover and you know you can do it safely. You want to put down wards. Sometimes you have to put them down as a reactive thing.
Right.
But optimally, putting them down as an aggressive play, right? You're putting down those wards so that, one, you're indicating to your teammates, what am I planning to do, right? So if you see Cam, for example, all in his lonesome up there, and he puts 2 wards up near their red, you know he's going for a split push, right? That's what he wants to accomplish. So you can use wards and how your teammates are placing them to get a good indication of what kind of tactic they're going for. Which, when you're on voice chat like this, is not that important.
Sure.
But when you're playing with pubs, it's incredibly valuable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hello, Nick. By the way, how are you?
Hi.
What's up, Nick?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Pretty good. We're just in a custom, and I'm just pointing out wards and map control strategy stuff. I'm on Twitch if you want to watch it there.
Heard.
Yep.
You're is your voice stuttering for anyone else? Like it sounds a little.
Is that a
Not
thing?
a lot.
Okay.
No, just once in a while. It was just kind of.
Yeah, I believe it. Right now, I'm hosting the voice chat server also. Yeah. That combined with uploading 720p is probably not handling too great.
Yeah.
If there's another Mumble server we can take over, let me know, and I'm totally down. I'm gonna be mean and attack this spot a little bit. Nope, no I'm not. He's level 12 and I'm level 2.
Yeah.
Goodbye!
You're gonna do nothing.
Okay. Now that I'm dead, I'll go back to talking.
Yeah, that's what you just need to kill yourself a lot. And you can talk all you want.
Nick is echoing. Really? That's strange.
Interesting.
Be echoing.
Is Will echoing too?
I don't think so. I'll look into it though.
Oh shit,
See if I
Nasus
can
is
figure it
here.
out.
Oh god. Oh fuck. When did he get here?
You'll be fine. You'll be fine.
Oh, Will's here too.
You got Will in there.
Yeah, I did not realize that. Oh, and no, we're fucked. We'll get out. Maybe not.
Alright, so that's
Never mind.
most of
We're
mid.
not fucked.
So that's most of mid warding.
Okay.
Mid can also do other things on occasion. Like if they have wards, they may have
I'm drawing
time
them out.
to
So you can
prevent
kill
counter
them.
jungling. Interesting that Nick is the only one echoing. That's really weird. Okay. Yeah, so mid can also do things like help. If your jungler is having a lot of trouble, they can put wards at blue or at red. You know, they often have enough time for getting enough lane pressure going.
Right.
So that's always nice.
Oh, nice.
Uh,
Good stuff, Will. Or yeah.
Okay. I guess that leaves jungler and bottom. So support, of course, is doing all sorts of stuff, right? They're trying to get wards all over the place at bottom early game. And when it comes to later parts of the game, they're the ones who are typically trying to make the good ward plays and the keeping up on, you know, if the game is going really well, your support is trying to keep wards sort of jungle locations so that you have good notice of what lanes they're going to and you can keep up map control, right? That's one thing people forget about wards a lot. Wards, as I mentioned before, are not just about ganking, right? Wards are just as much about maintaining map control and sort of delimiting lines, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, see, early in the game, right, the support will be placing things typically in river, and same with most of the lanes, because they're just trying to prevent people entering their jungle without knowing about it. But later on in the game, when you've got creeps that are sitting up here, those creeps are giving you vision, right? So if you have those creeps plus wards in jungle, where they're going to go, right? You know way ahead of time whatever place on the map that the team is aiming for.
Right.
And that prior notice, because pathing takes so long in League,
Mm-hmm.
huge deal. It allows you to anticipate it, allows you to build better team strategies, give you more notice of anything that's going on. So the support, that's often their job, is trying to maintain those lines and get a sense of where can they place these wards safely or to maintain that vision, and how can they prevent vision from the other team. That's one of the support's biggest jobs, is getting vision wards, getting oracles, moving around river, moving around your own jungle or their jungle, and just keeping them from having that map control.
Right.
So yeah. So the other teammates are going to be doing the same thing on occasion, right? They're going to be doing vision wards sometimes, and they're going to be trying to ward in the enemy jungle and their own jungle to keep safe. But the support is the one who's looking at it the most closely.
Right.
The one who's really trying to keep all of that under control. As you know.
Graves is coming up with.
Let him.
And we knew because of the wards.
So one thing is, even as top, don't expect any wards out of support for a very long time.
Oh yeah, no, I wouldn't.
It's not until you get to mid and late game that you're going to start seeing them put wards in top, for example, because support's not going to be able to roam for a long time.
Yeah.
So the support optimally, is going to be putting wards here. If they're really nice and they're trying to help mid, they might have time to put a ward there. Maybe. They'll be warding dragon, They'll be warding this tri-bush. They'll be warding in lane if they think a lane gank is coming, which is also something you can do at top. Ganks are usually a little bit easier to read at top, I've found. But, if you have a lot of lane pressure, wards in these top bushes can save you at top.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Support, you do a lot of warding this stuff. Sometimes you ward this tri-bush. For example, if you're trying to take this turret, right, and you are thinking that their jungler is just going to camp in this tri-bush and wait for you to push that turret and then attack you,
right?
A ward right there, of course, can prevent that from happening.
Sure.
So that one, blue, river, those are all good things if you're being aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
If you're being defensive, warding here actually and warding here can be really good.
Okay.
As a support. And of course mid can do some of that warding.
Yeah. Well, and hopefully your jungler is helping with that too.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully. Sometimes, and it partly depends, some people are going to have the money for wards, some people are not.
Right.
Of course, with the new patch, a lot of this is going to change.
Oh yeah, so what's going on with the new patch? I have not read any of that, so I have no idea what's going on.
Up all the details. I know they just released some patch notes,
okay.
So I need to look through those. But I think the rumors are that people are going to have a devoted item slot to warding.
Awesome.
To having wards.
Kind of cool. In a way. I guess that
means
that you
nothing
won't
in
be
the
Huh? Oh, Nick, do you know
Sorry.
more than I do?
Sorry, nothing in the patch notes is going to be about that stuff. That's all preseason, and right now it's mostly speculation.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay.
Renekton coming down.
So yeah, so this is speculation right now. When people are making guesses like that there will be a devoted item slot for wards, that you won't, may or may not be buying wards, or if you are, it might only be buying vision wards. It's not totally clear. Each character will think might have a limited number of wards that they can place at a given time.
Okay.
So basically, people will have something the equivalent to Sightstone,
Oh.
not quite as good. All
That's what
the
people
time.
have been suspecting or something.
Yeah,
like
which
that.
will, if that is what happens, which is, it's not totally clear that that will be what will happen.
Sure.
But that will change all of this substantially because you won't have to worry about, does my jungler have enough money to get gold? Is my top getting enough money to, or getting enough gold to put down wards? They're going to just have those wards.
Right.
So that'll make, mostly it'll make it a lot simpler. It'll make this strategy, and it'll make it more about things like going into the jungle and getting those wards down will be even more critical because anyone can do it. And
Yeah, that's true.
being really on top of your game and preventing that vision is going to become more important if you don't have to buy those wards.
Right.
Yep. So that's probably the biggest change that I'll make. But all speculation at this point. We really have to wait
Sure.
for the preseason patch in order to see what the changes are really going to be like.
Yep.
Okay, where was I? So yeah, support. That's most of support right there.
Okay.
The game, of course, is just trying to get vision in that lower jungle and river, and just keeping your AD carry from getting jumped. Right. That's pretty standard stuff. That's the one most people understand the most because you see the support putting down wards all the time. You get a sense of where they put them and why. Lanes are a little bit more practice to learn ward when you need to.
All right, sounds good, Will. I can let you do that.
Awesome.
I think you could do it too.
Let's see. What's the last AD carry? Carry warding. So it's probably the role that wards the least. That being said, you still, if you can afford it, which you usually can, to have at least one ward on you at any given time. And the reason why is you're going to have moments where the support runs out of money or runs out of wards and just can't get it down in a critical place. So for example, if Graves is getting a bunch of lane pressure on this turret, right? And you desperately need a ward in this bush, and the support just doesn't have one at the time. As the AD carry, you save yourself a ton of health if you can get a ward there and prevent harassment out of that bush.
Right.
Or if you're worried about the jungler coming down, the AD carry will often be the one who puts that ward in tri-bush instead of the support, just because the support might not have time, the support might not have wards at the time. There's things that can come up. So having that one ward on hand can be a lifesaver as an AD carry. If you're really lucky and doing really well, sometimes 2 wards is great.
Okay.
You are totally right. This is not Spelunky. Bad.
Oh, did you not change your game?
Sorry about that.
It's still League of Legends for me, so.
I've updated it now. That was my mistake. Let's see. Yeah, so that's AD carry at bottom. By the time you get to mid and late game, warding becomes kind of everybody's job to some extent. Everybody's going to have 1 or 2 wards, and they're all going to be doing things like placing wards in enemy jungle and at objectives and stuff.
Right.
That would be marvelous.
I know, right? That's how it's supposed to go, right? When you watch the pros play, pretty much everybody on the team is going to have 1 to 2 wards at any given time, unless they've just placed them. This is how you win. Like, it's how you can have map control without having to be there. That's what makes wards so good.
It's on.
Yeah, map awareness, huge deal.
Yeah.
One of the biggest parts of the game, and one of the biggest parts of the macro strategy in the game. But that being said, another part of vision is not just the wards, right? Pressure is a fantastic way to get vision. And it's why, when you see, for example, when we're going for Baron or something, right? Cam will almost always want either in these lanes, or at least, or possibly just pressure in bottom lane, so that so we get a sense of, do they have somebody pushing at bottom? Do they, if they transition to Baron, there's a good chance they'll walk through lane when they do it, so we'll see some of what's going on. Especially if the creeps are in their base, you'll know when they're leaving that base and going towards Baron.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, as far as vision, even if you don't have wards, if you're at top or something, you're like, okay, I need to transition to mid, but I have to make sure they don't get a good push at top, and I need to make sure that if they transition from top, that I see it.
Yep.
Pushing up creeps, if you don't have any money, is a great way to do it.
Right.
It's on.
So
To
yeah,
semi
another
have a
thing to keep
ward.
in mind is, and that's another good rule of thumb too, is when you see, for example, wards like now, which are pretty aggressive, so ones that are up in like this jungle, your goal is to have the creeps match that line, so that you create this wall of vision that they
Right.
can't pass without you
Seeing them.
seeing it.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. And that's most of it. I guess the jungler is the last one. Jungler, of course,
Filling in the
it's
gaps.
good for them to have one or two wards on hand because they're really good at filling in wards where they're needed.
Right.
So they're often in top jungle, they're often in bottom jungle, they're often in the enemy jungle. When they're going for ganks, it's a really good time to place a ward as you're going in for that gank, in case you know that they're going to need it. For example, if you see that bottom doesn't have any wards, right, and you're coming in for a gank through their jungle, it's really awesome to put a ward in blue while you're going through the Stry Bush or something. If you're attacking as blue. So, that's a good thing for the jungler to keep in mind, is if you have those one or two wards and you're paying attention to what lanes are struggling, and even if you can't have your presence there, even if you can't stick around, if you can get down a ward so that they know when a gank is coming, you can prevent a lot of damage that would happen in those lanes.
Right.
So yeah, so that's mostly what the jungler is about, is sort of like trying to get a look at objectives so that they can possibly counter jungle. If they're being counter jungled a lot, trying to get a ward inside one of their jungles if one of the other, if one of your teammates can't do it at the time. And using wards to keep pressure off of lanes that are struggling, right? That's as usual, the jungler is just trying to enable lanes. And keep their jungler from being able to enable lanes.
Oh, I did a little dance at the end.
And yeah. And that's
Cool.
about it. Good timing.
Yeah. It's like we planned that out.
Right. Thought that through. Yeah. So that's warding and map control in a nutshell.
Right. Oh, no XVIP. That's too bad.